That's crazy.
So we definitely have lots of big
It's me. Oh, you were?
I was, just seemed like it was in my way.
And we got to write to the families and all the neighbors and show the protection of kids, but not necessarily the parents.
Bill, you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Okay, can we get started? Ready? Are you ready to go? Hi, good evening. I'm Kay Ferry. I'm chairman of Eagle County Republicans, and I'm also chair of the 5th Judicial District. We're here tonight so we can have a little interchange between these three candidates who are running for the DA's office. And first I want to acknowledge some of the elected officials we have in oath. So do you have to start over?
That's okay.
Is that it? Hi, I'm Kay Ferry. I'm chair of Eagle County Republicans. We're here tonight so that we can have an interaction between the candidates who are running for the Judicial District 5, which I'm also the chairman of. First, I want to acknowledge some of the elected officials that are here. Bill Douglas is Eagle County Republicans Vice Chair. Phil North is the Clear Creek County Republican Secretary. Jennifer Woolley is the Eagle County Republican Secretary, and Cindy Conlon is the Clear Creek County Republicans Chair. Did I miss anybody?
Jerry Babionic.
Oh, Jerry. Hi, Jerry. I didn't.
We haven't met yet.
Yeah. All right. So there's Jerry. He's the chair of the Clear Creek County Democrats. So.
And
Phil Buckley.
What about Phil Buckley?
I'm not running for
Nobody?
anything, but Phil Buckley, Clear Creek County Commissioner.
There you go.
And Cindy Condon
I
is.
said Cindy.
Yeah, right.
I did Cindy. I got Cindy. Okay, so we'll get started. The way I think we're going to do this is going to be pretty casual because we just actually put this together 2 days ago. So there really wasn't a lot of time to get anything prepared, but we're at least going to give a go at this. So I'm going to give 2 or 3 minutes for each of these candidates to give some kind of an intro on their campaign and who they are and so forth. And then we'll start with some questions. The questions will be 2 minutes long. The answers are 2 minutes long with different questions for all the candidates, so you won't all be answering the same thing. And if you have any comments that you think are made and they're not correct, if you wouldn't mind keeping track of them, and we'll deal with them at the end of the conversation, if you don't mind. Okay, so let's start with Bruce. I went alphabetical order for lack of anything else, so Bruce Brown goes first.
It was close because I got Bruce Carey on my left. I wasn't even sure myself.
But are they timing this part?
I want to thank Kay Ferry for putting together the event because it definitely would not have happened without her diligence. And I want to welcome, obviously, Bruce Carey as well as Sanaa Murnia to Clear Creek County, which I'm proud to say is my home county. Interestingly, in the history of the 5th Judicial District, I'm the first district attorney that's been elected from Clear Creek County. So it's an honor for me, and I also think it's, to some degree, it's an honor for the county because, as you know, this is a 4-county judicial district, and Clear Creek is the second smallest. You know, what's happened over the last 4 years is pretty interesting. We've actually had a spike in serious crime that we've never seen before. So for example, today we actually are starting a double homicide trial in Eagle County. That happens to be the first double homicide, and now we have to go back to historians, and my historian for this is former Sheriff John Miner of Summit County, and I think he told me 1967. So it's a real sad thing. In the last year, we've had 2 homicides right here in Clear Creek County. We've also had, in a little over a year, 2 homicides in Lake County. So it's a symbol of maybe how our society is changing a little bit and some of the challenges that we face, certainly some of the challenges that we face as prosecutors. In order to kind of answer that, in part, I've had to step up and put on my trial attorney hat. I'll be the lead prosecutor on the 2 most recent cases that are Clear Creek County homicides. I also was the lead prosecutor on a Eagle County homicide that occurred my first year, 2013, but was tried to a successful completion of first-degree murder that occurred in Clear Creek County because we couldn't seat a jury in Eagle County. I've also assembled the most experienced group of prosecutors in the history of the 5th Judicial District. So not an accident, because obviously it's in response to the need to deal with these heavy cases. So hopefully as we go on tonight, we can talk not specifically about cases because I can't always make public comment, and if I do comment about a specific pending case, I always have to have the caveat, which is do not infer from any of the statements that I made that any person charged with a crime is guilty. But I'll pass the mic now in alphabetical order to my left, and I look forward to hearing your questions. Thank you again for coming tonight.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Carey. I was born in Pennsylvania, grew up going to the Liberty Bell, Constitution Hall, Independence Hall, and joined the Army at 18 years old. I could choose anywhere in the world to live, and I chose Colorado. I graduated from the University of Colorado in 3 years and had an additional year of the GI Bill that I used for my first year of law school at the University of Denver. Upon graduation, I was the first intern in the 5th Judicial District here in Clear Creek County. I tried and won my first jury trial before I was licensed as an attorney. I was moved over to Eagle County when that job opened up 27 years ago. I looked around and thought, well, I won't be here long. They tell me that's how to make God laugh, developing plans. In Eagle County, I tried and won the first case of reckless skiing ever to go to trial in Colorado. That made the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and Ski Magazine. Too many sexual assault cases are being plea bargained to non-sexual assault dispositions. I would change that. I would hire an experienced sexual assault trial lawyer and give that person their choice of any one of the 4 counties in the district. And every sexual assault case would be emailed to that prosecutor, and that prosecutor would shepherd the case from start to finish and go to the county where that trial would be held. I'm noticing the time is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so I will wait and continue this when you have questions for me.
Hi everyone. As both of the Bruces said, thanks for being here. This means a lot. I'll confess, I'm nervous, but I guess that's just the way it goes. So a little bit about myself. I've been a Colorado attorney since '09. I practiced in the Front Range, and now I've been in the mountains for about 3 years. And I want to tell you a little bit about why I decided to run. I am zero politician at all. I don't know much about politics. I don't know the game. I'm learning a lot. And that's precisely why I decided to run. I feel like in this country we've come to a point where we can all sit and complain about politics and the personal gain and about what's going on, and nobody really does anything. So I decided to step up and do this as an independent and do it for the community. I'm not doing this for personal gain. I went to school to be a criminal attorney and to protect the Constitution. I never forget the oath I took when I became an attorney. And that oath is really the reason I'm running for office now, is to protect the Constitution. And after I'm done with this, I'm going to go back to being a criminal defense attorney. But our community needs help. It's growing. Our problems are growing. Our crime is growing. We need to focus on restorative justice. We need to focus on bringing resources to the community. We need to focus on mental health and building relationships. And I think this is a critical time to do it because of the growth we're facing. I'm terrified of the growth and not having these resources because there's too many clients that call me in a state of emergency, especially mental health clients, where I don't know what to do. Where do I send them? What do I do? And if history has taught us anything, it's punishment and throwing away the keys is not the answer. And I think this is the right time to focus. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start with questions. Bruce Carey, I'm going to start with you. All three of you actually started out your careers as defense attorneys. Can you tell me how you make the transition into being a prosecuting attorney?
Let me start by saying Kay Ferry is incorrect. I started my career as a prosecutor here in Clear Creek County. My next job was as a prosecutor in Eagle County. And how I would make a change is I would first hire Tyra Welsh, who is here tonight, as my assistant DA. She began her career in 2005 as a victim advocate and then went to law school solely to become a deputy DA. She remained as a deputy DA doing trial work in Eagle County until the day before Bruce Brown took office. She then took a job that she got over 100 other applicants for Jefferson County, and she is a felony trial lawyer there. I would bring her back to the 5th Judicial District as a trial lawyer. Both Tyra and I will carry a designated caseload and both participate in the trial load of the 5th Judicial District. Not just on select cherry picking of cases, but a designated, if your number comes up, that's your case and you deal with it.
Thank you. Sorry that I misspoke there, Bruce. Okay, so now I'm next for you. I did a lot of work on all of your websites to see what you've been doing and what your issues are. You say on your website that one of your goals is to change the current relationship between law enforcement and the DA's office. What needs to be changed? Your statement actually implies that you don't approve of the current relationship. Could you explain that?
So one of the questions that I've gotten from a lot of members of the community is, what happens when law enforcement violates our rights? What do we do? Because they violate the rights and we go to court and the book is thrown at us. And the way I responded to that is it's a very simple phone call. A lot of times the Constitution is ever changing with case law. We have fantastic officers that are trying to do the right job, and sometimes they just don't know how the law has changed and how it should apply. So what I would do is pick up that call or phone and make the phone call and correct the mistake. What's happening now, and what I see happen all the time, is when an officer makes the mistake, the DA's office reinforces that mistake by bringing him in and having him testify, and essentially trying to prosecute someone whose rights have been violated. And that's not okay. The Constitution is too important for that, and it's too important to me. So what I would do is have a relationship that's based on enforcing the Constitution, based on correcting an officer who makes a mistake, and having that open door relationship with them where you trust them, they trust you, and in turn you build trust with the community and law enforcement and the DA's office.
Sorry, we've got one microphone, so it's going to be a little game here. Bruce Brown, you stated on your website that the first you provided the first successive grand juries to sit continuously. Most of us aren't familiar with the system to know what that means. So could you explain it and why it's important?
So grand juries meet for the purpose of doing many things. One can be conducting an investigation of a matter of importance to the community. The other thing they can do is they can sit and they can review criminal instances to determine whether or not a person should be indicted. When I took office, we didn't have a sitting grand jury, and looking back at the prior administration, they had one grand jury sit for a total of 2 cases. Historically, in the Old West, grand juries met all the time, but in Colorado, if you're a county that's below 100,000 citizens, you need the approval of the chief judge in order to convene a grand jury. We had a number of cases, as I alluded to, that were very, very serious, and believed that having a grand jury to assist those investigations and determine whether or not indictments were appropriate was an important use of our resources. And man, has it been a lot of resources. So I went to Chief Judge Thompson and I asked him whether or not he would be open, and I filed my motion and made my request, and he granted it. And we're now in our 3rd term, basically, of an annual grand jury. They meet infrequently, but they meet in order to deliberate on important cases. So for example, in Clear Creek County, a young man named Davison was just indicted on a 2nd-degree murder charge by the grand jury. That was a very complicated case because it took place in a closed room with 2 people, one who ended up dead. And so the determination that the prosecutor usually makes by signing their name to a complaint to determine that there's probable cause, and then the judge goes ahead and tests it. In this case, and in all cases where an indictment issues, is tested, the evidence is tested by the grand jury, and the grand jury actually decides who do we want as witnesses, what is the evidence going to be. There's a lot of uses for the grand jury, but in a case like this, what it gives a prosecutor a really good read on is how is a regular jury going to respond to difficult facts when it comes before it. So that's a little bit of introduction to the grand jury. Thank you for that important question.
Thank you. Okay, Bruce Carey. On your website, you indicated that the quality of care and justice in JD5 has disintegrated in your opponent's 4-year term. Can you explain that?
I would be happy to. Once again, on the assistant DA. The current assistant DA has never done a criminal jury trial on her own, ever. And that is a waste of resources.